How long until your first deal that way?
April 17th or 16th.
So just a month.
Just a month later, I did my first deal. And I made 10 grand, right? My coaching program was 9 grand with them. And I had a bunch of money on credit cards, and I had, I wasn't profitable, but it was proof of concept, right? But within the end of that fiscal year, so about 8 months, I did around $113,000 in wholesale fees, and I was profitable. And I had made more money from wholesaling that year than I was going to make from window cleaning.
So let's talk about that very first deal. What actions did you take to source that first deal?
Yeah, so I did exactly what my coaches told me, right? That was the greatest part. A good coach will say, do this and don't question me, just implement. So I did what they told me to do. So I bought a list from a company called ListSource, right? So at the time, that was great. A lot of people now use PropStream. It's similar to PropStream, right? If you don't know what ListSource is, the audience, I know you know what it is. And so I bought this list, and it was a list of potential sellers. It's just homeowners that might want to sell their property. They have high equity. And so I followed the filters that they gave me. I pulled this list and I started sending postcards. I got a call from a seller that lived out of state, and his business partner also lived out of state. And they didn't want to deal with it. They had owned over 100 rental properties together, and it was their business partnership had gone sour, and it was their last rental property. He said, hey, I know I'm giving it to you to deal, but I don't even care anymore. It's our last one. So I was like, okay, this sounds right. He says, we'll sell it to you for $80,000. I said, okay. I knew nothing. I said, okay, let's do it. So I signed the contract. I had to figure out DocuSign. We signed the contract, and I had done what my coaches had told me, which is build your cash buyers list first. I had found a guy at an auction, and he had a 1031 tax exchange. He was a motivated buyer because he needed to move money for tax purposes. If I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have found a buyer. Every other buyer said I'm 20, 30 grand too high. But I had a motivated buyer just like a motivated seller, and I made 10 grand. He was the only person interested, but I made 10 grand on the deal.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So